Welcome to the Indigenous Entrepreneurs Podcast. Today I have special guest Cece Meadows with me. She's the owner and founder of Prados Beauty. I'm really excited to have her here with us to share her story. But as we get started, can you introduce yourself, Cece, and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm Cece Meadows. I'm the founder and CEO of Prados Beauty. I'm Xicana and Indigena, and I am on the traditional homelands of the Piro-Manso-Tiwa people and Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm originally from Arizona. My family is from Sonora, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and you know, uh, I think that acknowledging where you come from and where your people from originally is really important. So I try to do my best to highlight every, place that I come from. And so thank you for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here. I think you're right in the fact that like those roots are very important and they kind of make us who we are and are part of
Mhm.
our story. Um, I also just wanted to mention that we're Tokayas. My name's Cecilia too. People call me Cece, which is cool. But I'm wondering like if you can just tell us about your business, Prados Beauty, but like before you get into that, can you give us the story of what led up to you starting your business?
Yeah, so I'm actually a cancer survivor. And I actually didn't really wear a lot of makeup. Um, but I found myself, going through chemo and not having any eyebrows or hair at all, and like having to learn how to make myself look better. Um, and I think that makeup is like a universal gift. Everyone loves makeup. Um, and the lines are really blurred when it comes to the different types of people and communities who love makeup. It's not all just, women and it's artists, it's, men, it's, you know, uh, just any type of person who has a love of makeup. And for me, finding those people in that community was really important when I first started the brand because I was learning what self-expression looked like when you were trying to create this different mindset for yourself. And for me, it was like intertwining with mental health, and so when I hit up my really good friend Lee Jaramillo, who used to be the regional Mac trainer for Mac. He, you know, rest his soul, he was just a very pivotal person in that journey, just really helping me understand that beauty is inside, but when you don't feel good, there are tools and ways that you are able to make yourself feel better. And for me, it was kind of like a fake it till you make it type thing. And so when I would put on makeup and I got really good at putting on makeup, um, and I felt a lot better. I felt better than what I, was going through at that time. I think that that was a pivotal moment in me wanting to create a beauty brand in the future, because at that time I still had a journey that I had to go through until I, created Prados. But I feel like those pivotal moments were really important in doing the groundwork of what Prados is right now. And so the same ideas and the same concept and the same heart and the same you know story that it began with is what it is today. And so it really just became a labor of love of trying to help people feel better. Um, and then a way for us to give back to our communities and a way for us to dismantle that westernized idea of what beauty looked like. Because at that time, this was, 10 years ago when this happened. you didn't really see a lot of Native or Indigenous people in mainstream media or as influencers or the face of beauty, you know? And so there was a lot of work that needed to be done, and I just happened to be someone who, I don't know, all of the cards laid the right way, and all of the meetings and all of the, roads that you travel in life just kind of lined up for me. And you couple that with heart, and you couple that with, good work ethic and drive. I mean, that's how Prados Beauty came to be.
That's such a beautiful, like, and hard way to get started, but it's like I think it just makes like where you're at now, kind of looking back that journey and that story just so much more impactful.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever in your wildest dreams think that you would be the CEO of a beauty company? Like,
No.
never.
No, no, I have a background in finance and real estate and insurance, so I had my own farmers insurance agency, and I worked in, banking, corporate banking and retail banking for 15 years, and then I was into real estate. I'm still into real estate. So at a young age, I really understood that, you know, oh sorry, I really understood at a young age that like nothing was going to be handed to you and you had to work to get it. And I often tell people like that hustler mentality, you're born with that. Like you can't teach hustler. Like you're either a hustler or you're not. And I don't mean like a hustler by like swindling people. I mean like a hustler, like you will hustle to do what you have to do to make your dreams and your hopes and all of your wants come true. And so for me, when I was, growing up, I knew that I was bigger than what I had around me, which is like I'm from a small farm town, and I love, where I came from, and I love how I grew up outdoors and in the farming community, and um ag workers, and being able to see, you know them feed us, and protections. I fight for their protection still to this day. And so being like growing up in that, I knew that I owed them more, and I knew that I owed my ancestors, and I owed my grandparents and my parents more. So for me, the idea of what I wanted to do looked like I needed to be successful in something that I knew could make me, have that security that they felt they never had. And so for me, that was like in banking and finance and all of this stuff. But never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would be the founder and CEO of a makeup company, and that I would spend, 90% of my time creating and, you know, um, making my actual dreams come true by putting what I dream about on packaging, and working with Native and Indigenous artists, and never thought that I could make a living off of that. And I never ever in my wildest dreams thought that I could help and change, people's lives and help communities. Um, by doing that. But, at a young age, I didn't realize what I was doing was I was manifesting these things, and I didn't even know that I was doing that.
So, walk us through your journey a little bit more. So, you were undergoing cancer treatment and you were just starting to enjoy playing with makeup and it was making you feel better. At what point did you decide, or say to yourself, like, I'm gonna start selling makeup or I'm gonna start making my own makeup? Like when when did it become more than just putting makeup on for yourself?
Yeah, so I think for me early on, once I got better, once I went into remission, once I started like my hair started growing back and I started getting more experience in doing makeup, I wanted to share that gift with other people. And so I started volunteering at like the Ronald McDonald House, and I started going into the oncology units at the hospital where I had did, where they were doing chemo in the oncology units where I had been in the hospital and been diagnosed, and where my oncologists and my doctors worked. Um, and I would just sit in chairs and, help other girls, other ladies and little kids, like, have something to do, but also helping them learn how to do eyebrows and how to, apply lashes and, and how to take care of your skin and things like that. And so for me, that was a healing journey also because I was going through a lot of personal battles, just trying to get my life back together after, cancer and all of those things. And people don't talk about that. They don't talk about the struggles that cancer patients go through and the things that they um you know have going on in their lives where they're trying to pick up the pieces. And so for me, um I didn't even have the dream yet at that time. I just wanted to do makeup on people and help them feel better. It wasn't until I, met my husband Daniel and we moved to New York that I became a housewife and a stay-at-home mom for the first time in ever. I've always had a job since I was like 11, 12. And not having a job was really hard for me. And so um I'm a big, I'm a writer. I love to write. I write poetry and I love to doodle and, have come up with ideas. And so I had these journals that had concepts of brushes for chemo patients and eyelashes that could help them, that I had to take out those journals and bring those journals to life again, and create a job for myself really is what that did. And so I spent about a year doing research and getting really good at makeup. And while we lived in New York, I'd go into the city a lot. I started doing makeup at New York Fashion Week and getting jobs in the city. And so, being in that hub, I went to a show called the Makeup Show. That is where all the manufacturers around the world get together. I took my concepts with me and I walked up to Annie. She's still my manufacturer. We've been, in business together for over 5 years. And I said, I have this dream, this idea that, I could create really soft makeup brushes for cancer patients or people who are suffering, from skin conditions like rosacea or have cirrhosis or not cirrhosis, but have gosh, what's the word? It's a skin disorder
Is
and
it eczema,
it's
maybe? I
like
don't
an
know.
extreme version of eczema. It's not called cirrhosis, psoriasis. Psori- not cirrhosis, psoriasis, but psoriasis is something that a lot of people live with that, and they still enjoy wearing makeup and things like that. So the concepts were just to be beauty tools. I never had the idea of doing cosmetics because I thought it wasn't in my wheelhouse and I wanted to stay in my lane. Like that's what my dream was. But um it kind of just arose from that, from coming out with the makeup brushes and coming out with the eyelashes. That was what I launched when I launched Prados Beauty, and we didn't do the cosmetics until a year later.
And so, when did you decide like, okay, this is like I'm gonna go in, this is gonna be a business. Did you decide that or did it just kind of like happen?
It
Oh.
kind of like I knew I was gonna start the brand, because at that time I was an influencer and I was doing makeup for these big brands, and I was growing my platform. And I didn't see a lot of representation of like Chicana and Indigenous people, or Native American people at all. And I saw, the same type of, storyline of that separation of community, like that, Indigenous Mexicas aren't Native American or we're not natives, or not even acknowledging like the Chicano story of like what makes us Chicanos, or or even Native Americans be a part of like these big PR and makeup companies. And so it kind of pissed me off, and it was something that like, well, you know what, I'll create my own brand and I'll highlight these people myself because they're my friends and because they create the most beautiful works of art with makeup. Like, why not? And so it kind of just arose from that. and just having the makeup brushes and the tools and the lashes, and then eventually the cosmetics part came alive because of my friend Stephen Paul Judd. He was like, why don't you make like one of those colorful things that put on. He didn't even know what an eyeshadow palette was. He was just like, the things that are colorful and you put them on your eyes, and like we'll put the artwork on there. And I was just kind of like, that would be cool. But it was really just um the support of my family, the support of my husband, the support of my friends, and the support of my online community, because it was so big at that time. And so um it kind of just came alive because of community.
That's amazing. And that's what your brand continues to be about is community. So I love that it was kind of created out of community and it's for community too.
Yeah.
I really like resonate with what you say about, because I think of like other beauty brands, like when I was growing up, like I thought like, oh, that looks cute, but none like really felt like, oh, I love this. And I love your brand. Like I don't even wear makeup that much, but I think the images and just like the whole concept of like Chicana culture, indigenous culture, and the way you've like blended it into your brand, that really spoke to me. I think I found out about your brand through Angelo and Jacqueline McHorse and Bison Star Naturals, because like
Yes.
you were carrying their lotion. And then
Mhm.
I ordered, I think it was like a matriarch box or something from Native Women Lead, and like one of your lipsticks was in
Mhm.
there, and so that's how I first got introduced. But I love your lipstick. I love your brand.
Thank you.
It's very different and definitely like speaks to like the Chicana indigenous audience, which really I think now is having more representation in the beauty industry, but like that's very recent. And you're
Yeah.
one of those like trailblazers who kind of
I love Jackie and Angela. They're such good people. Jackie is actually someone who really, really helped me at the beginning of my business. She helped me understand like taxes and NTTCs, and like, there wasn't there wasn't really anybody that I knew personally in my life that I could reach out to and ask for help. Because I'm the first in my family to do anything like this. And so not having, that personal connection to be able to ask people about business questions, I really, really, love Jackie for that, because she didn't have to answer my questions. She didn't have to take any time out of her day. She was busy. She was trying to build her own brand, but she really, shared some pivotal information with me that I think about her all the time, and we talk a lot. And um I think also for, Jackie, like she's Chicana too. And so like being able to walk in this community and really try to fill that gap of, decolonizing that perception that we don't belong here, or that, our land is somewhere else. And I try to tell people like as often as I can that 1848 wasn't that long ago. And, the border crossed us. We didn't cross the border, and just because you drew a line doesn't mean that that takes away our native and indigenous, um, you know, being from this land for hundreds and thousands of years, just like you are, and so I think that my work in this space is more than just making makeup. It's about dismantling, these ideas that we don't belong here, or that we're not from here, and so we try to be neutral in the space. We try to, not make it a political type thing, but when you come here, you're going to understand like our perspective. We make products for everybody. It doesn't matter what color, creed, race, sex you are. Like, we make products for everybody. But while you're here, you're going to learn about our culture. You're going to learn about our identities. You're going to learn about the diversity of who we are as people, and you're going to learn a little bit about our struggles, but you're also going to learn about our successes, and not keep us in this, box that we're not successful people because we're entrepreneurs, we're lawyers, we're doctors, we're all the things. And so um that's really the all-encompassing thing about Prados Beauty.
I love that. I've definitely found a space with Prados Beauty. I love your community, your Instagram, everything.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for being that like kind of that voice and that space for, people, Chicanas and people like us who sometimes maybe feel like they don't belong anywhere. So
Yeah.
I love that and just like your story and everything is very inspiring. Um, Kind of on the note of what you were talking about with Jackie, you went to her with like questions and stuff. Can you talk a little bit more about like when you were starting your business, what were some of those questions you had or things like hardships or challenges that you ran into, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so that was one of the biggest challenges was not having like a formal education or background in business. I had never opened a business. Like I had ran businesses. I'd helped, founders, I've helped CEOs, I've helped, management run businesses and stuff like that. So I feel like I had some, information, but from start to finish, I didn't, there was a lot of gaps in between that. And the information was, people gatekeep. Like, I'll just be honest. They don't want to share with you how they did things. They don't want to share information. And for me, it's kind of sad because your vision and your dreams and your hopes for your business are completely different than the next person's. Like, yeah, you might be in maybe the same wheelhouse, but your designs are going to be different, your formulas are going to be different, your packaging is going to, how you mail out things is going to be different. There's always these differences in businesses. So I never got the concept or the idea of why people were so afraid to share. Like, I get emails all the time with people asking me for resources or information, and I'm so happy to share because I feel like I made the mistakes for them so they don't have to do that. And so with Jackie was so helpful to me, one because um she knew all of the things that I had the questions to, and two, she was so, you know, she was so loving with her time, and I think that that's an important part of what makes, the indigenous and native community beautiful is that, you know, time is of the essence. And when you share that with somebody and that information with someone, you keep sowing the true embodiment of what it is to be a native and indigenous and Chicano person. And when you can root that into your business by learning and understanding from someone else, I feel like that is so impactful. But some of the first questions that I had for her were the things that cause businesses to die before they even get off the ground, and that was with taxes and money, trying to understand how you file taxes on sales that you haven't made yet or that you're gonna make, but and so really understanding that, and that was a big challenge for me. Also, funding is a big challenge for any small business, especially if you're a minority owned business. And people don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear the truth. They think that like we're feeling sorry for ourselves, or they feel like we're, you know, as my dad says, poniéndole crema a los tacos, like putting more, being exaggerative on what we're talking about. And it's like, no, I'm a profitable independently owned business, and I've gotten over 100 no's when it comes to lending and investment. But why? Like, what am I doing different, or what is my story any different from the next person's? Well, it doesn't add up at the end of the day. And so I hate to say this, but as a BIPOC owned and ran and operated business, you have to work 10 times harder than the next person who isn't, and And people don't like to hear that, but it's the truth. And so those were the main challenges, and it's still a challenge. Funding is still a challenge for us. We're still looking for our, one big investor who's going to partner with us in such a way that, you know, it grows the brand and doesn't feel like we gave something away for money because it's so special. And so I think that that is the hustle. That's the thing that keeps us going. Um, that ability to say at the end of the day that we created something so special that we're the only Chicano and Indigenous owned beauty brand and a mega retailer here in the US, and that we give back so much to our communities and we have our nonprofit. To be able to say that and still have all of those challenges to me is something that allows you to rise to the occasion. And as my ancestors and those way before me, like, we can't lose because we have that spirit inside of us.
What are like as you've been navigating that like funding and taxes and all that, aside from Jackie, what are some good resources that you've tapped into during this journey? Are there any organizations or people that really helped you um as you've been starting and growing your business?
Yeah, so Jackie was actually somebody who really helped me, and I'll say that there are a lot of organizations. Native Women Leads was a big help as far as like resources to for information and contacts for professionals who are Native and Indigenous who could help you with anything from accounting to taxes to websites and things like that. And so when I first moved to New Mexico from New York in 2020, they were somebody who was really helpful to me as far as like connecting me with the right resources for what I needed. And also, NMSU has a really great program for Native and Indigenous business owners. Um, and I really, really tapped into that resources, and they were so helpful to me. And then, you know, the New Mexico commerce is like a the economic, um, development is a huge help, and they're really great about connecting you with resources and, any advice or information that you need. And so I feel like when you take advantage of those tools that are available to you and those connections, um, it allows you to learn, you know, about things from a different perspective that you may not understand, but then it also gives you the opportunity to be able to help other people and share those resources as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of resources here in New Mexico. I think a lot of times it's just awareness and people knowing about it.
Right.
So,
And also access to the internet. Like, people don't
mhm.
understand that a lot of small businesses from New Mexico are, from remote areas where internet access is not something that's readily available to them. Like, they don't understand that.
Yeah, so, and that's where those resources, or at least maybe having a hub or a library or something where they can access the internet, um, would be helpful.
Right.
Um, How was that for you, like just accessing, starting up? Did you start selling your products online, or how did you start when you launched your business?
Yeah, so I started my business with $250. I saved some makeup money that I had made doing makeup on some military spouses on post because we lived on post in New York, and I saved my money and I did my own trademarks and copyrights, and I invested my personal money into this love project that I was calling it. And I just thought, what if I take this and I just invest a little bit of money and I get my brushes and my lashes made the way I want them to, the specific way that I want it to be made. Um and the first, 500 sets of these brushes, these specialty brushes, I was scared out of my mind that, like, it was gonna be a waste of money, that they wouldn't, that it wouldn't take off. Um, just all the fears that a normal person would have when they're starting to do something that is completely out of their element. But I was really lucky, and not, not even lucky, I'm just really blessed that my community really routed. They answered the call, you know, and they came along and they supported. And then once they got the product and they were like, "Oh my gosh, like this is insane. Like these are the softest brushes I've ever felt in my life. These are the best brushes." And I have people who bought the first sets of brushes still who send us DMs, that their brushes are still alive and they're just replacing them because now they have a kid 5 years later who's into makeup. And so to make high quality products that are affordable is something that was always really, really important to me. And I started selling online. I had a Wix. I started off on Wix. We are now on Shopify, but I started off on Wix. I built my own website. I did all the coding, all of the things for it, did all the photography. Um, and it was like a low budget project, but I mean, if I still have photos and things of like the first website and what it is now, and it's just like the glow up has truly been a labor of love and because of our community. And so I started off selling online, and then I opened my first brick and mortar um, here in Las Cruces. And then we got into the JC Penney's, the 609 JC Penney stores, and then I started doing wholesale. So then we're, at museums and casinos all throughout the U.S. and Canada, and we're in the Smithsonian now. And so, like, when you think about all of those cool things that we've been able to accomplish as a beauty brand and with our indigenous and native artists and collaborations with them. I just kind of blown away by it all, and I just feel so blessed, to be able to do that work.
That's awesome. I was at a museum in Oklahoma City and
Oh
I
yeah, the
saw your
Fan
stuff.
Museum.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I saw your stuff there, which I thought was really cool. Um, so you started off online and then when did you open your brick and mortar store?
2021.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's like such a beautiful story of of like what's possible, starting
Mhm.
with like $250 and just an idea and a passion and then doing it and then scaling it.
Mhm.
It's an amazing story and I think you're just getting started too, which is crazy because you've already had like this long journey, but I really, really admire what you're doing and what you've done.
Thank you.
So thanks for sharing part of your story with us. I do have another question just about the name Prados Beauty. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so my last name is Meadows, and I wanted to name something that wasn't going to be my name. Like, I didn't want it to name like Cece Meadows Cosmetics. I didn't want to name it after myself. Um, and the reason that I didn't want to do that is because while I was dreaming up, what I wanted the end goal to be for my beauty brand is that I wanted to be a global beauty brand. And sometimes in order to be a global beauty brand, that gets bought by bigger companies. And I was like, there's one thing that I never want to do, and that is sell my name. Like, I don't ever want to be able to make this business be so successful that one day I don't own my own name. And so I also wanted to name it something that would allow people to ask the question about where the name comes from. I wanted them to be able to, understand that they're speaking another language when they say Prados. And so Prados is just my last name in Spanish. So Prados Beauty literally means meadows beauty, and that's what, meadows is in Spanish. It's Prados. And Prados are beautiful. It's the meadows, especially there in, Mexica and the traditional like greenlands and the forests and things like that. Like once you get to the meadows part of Mexica outside of the desert, it's a beautiful thing, and it's also just a beautiful word and a beautiful language. And so that's where the word Prados Beauty comes from. It's just my last name in Spanish.
That's awesome. And even the imagery that you have with your products, it kind of goes with like that Prados meadow, like like you
Yeah,
have the horses and all of that. So
for sure.
yeah, that's awesome. So I just have a few more questions. But the next one is just how has entrepreneurship impacted your overall life and well-being? And whether it's good or bad, like how has it impacted your life?
It's impacted my life a lot. I feel like, especially mental health and entrepreneurship, people don't talk about that a lot, but I do. I talk about mental health a lot in being an entrepreneur, and, it could be very, very heavy sometimes, especially um, when you're looking for funding and you're, trying to grow your business and you're supporting a lot of different nonprofits and a lot of different communities and students and people through the nonprofit, and you're constantly trying to figure out how to grow your business and you just keep getting the no's, that could be very, very taxing on your mental health. And so I would say for me though, I've kind of learned how to navigate um those challenges and those hard times by being really, really good to myself and learning how to prioritize mental health, learning how to prioritize my well-being, how to learn to step away when it's time for me to, take a day off, or how to really help others by teaching them how I get it done and how I spend time being grounded in my routine, like praying and journaling and exercising and things like that. So it's just really it can be, really taxing sometimes and very tiring, but at the same time, as an entrepreneur, you also give yourself the gift of the freedom to just walk away for a little bit. And I'm not talking about for like months. I'm talking about like for a couple of days if you need to take some mental health days and you need to rest and um, you know, be your best self when you come here to my office or to my store or to my warehouse is really, really important to me. And so also navigating, friendships in entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship can be really, really lonely because there's not very many people from your personal life who do what you do, but you find your community and your friends within the entrepreneur circle. And I've been so lucky to have, found my community and my close friends that I talk to every day, and we share information and lift each other up on the hard days. And so, again, you're just um you know walking everyday life trying to get through it, but also celebrating those successes, not just with yourself but with your family and your friends and your community, and that's the thing that keeps me going.
Awesome. Um, are there any projects or things that you've been working on that you would like to share with us while we're on here, or any like new products or just initiatives, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so our 2025 is in full swing. We're already working on our Indigenous Peoples Day collection for next, October 2025. And I'm really excited about that project. I can't share too much about it, but it's definitely going to be something that we've never done before. I try to keep it fresh and do something new every year. And so I'm really excited for this person that we're working with. Um, and we just came out with a holiday lip kit at JCPenney that's exclusive for JCPenney. It's two lip glosses and a lip oil that you can go get. It's like a $65 value. You can get it for like $30. I thought I had one here on my desk. JCPenney always has like a bunch of codes and friends and family stuff, so you can actually get it for like $17, I think. Um, and yeah, we're just, we have some stuff that we're gonna come out with um, possibly in May, that we've never done before. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, I mean, we have collections and artists that we're going to be working with for the next 5 years. So it's kind of really cool when all of this stuff comes to life, and that all of our hard works, you know, start to come into fruition, and that people get to, support it. And so um we just take it day by day, and we listen to our customers. We know what you guys want. We know what you don't want. Um, and so we take all of that advice and all of that feedback, and we take it to heart, and that's what keeps us growing.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what you're up to. I'll keep an eye out on my Instagram, um, and stay in touch with all the projects you have upcoming. Um, Before we get off, I just wanted to end with this last question of if someone is listening and they're either interested in pursuing entrepreneurship or they've started, but maybe they're stuck. What is one piece of advice you would give them, or like words of wisdom?
Just do it, you know? I know it's like the Nike, just do it, but I literally am a huge sneaker head, and I buy sneakers all the time, and when I look at the Nike symbol, I was just like, "Just do it." And, I it's so cliche to say it, but, like, it's true. Like, if I didn't just do it, if I didn't just take that leap full of fear and anxiety and the crazy, emotions that come with it, the crying and the fear and the overcoming and becoming more mentally strong and just pushing through when things don't seem to be going right. I always say, like, if you're gonna bet on something being successful, make it be you. Like, bet on yourself. Just do it. Just take the leap. The worst thing that could happen is you fail, but 9 times out of 10, that's not what happens. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna pull from that deep, deep place, that makes you who you are, which is resilient and powerful, and you're going to make it work. And so I would say that if there's any piece of advice, it would be that to just do it and do it right. And Do it like your life depended on it, and it's gonna be okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. If people want to connect or if they're interested in your products or in Prados Beauty, where can they find you?
Yeah, they can find us at pradosbeauty.com. They can follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know if TikTok's gonna be around in January, but it's just Prados Beauty, or they can come into the store at 1825 Copper Loop, Las Cruces, New Mexico. They can shop here in store. They can also find us at the Fam Museum.
JC
You know,
Penney's.
JC Penney's 609 JC Penney locations, and now they can find some items on Amazon. um, we decided to make our products accessible to a lot of our customers through Amazon because they're Amazon Prime holders. Um, it's not that much stuff, but it's a little something just to alleviate, the hike in shipping things and stuff like that. So um, we're pretty accessible, and that was the goal all the time, to make our products affordable and accessible to our people and to our customers all the time.
Awesome. And I will link all of those in the description so that people can click on them and check out all your different platforms. But thank you so much, Cece, for coming on here with me. I really love your brand. I was at a conference last week and I wore your like bronzers and I only put makeup on when I like need to look a little, more professional and older is how I put it. But I wore your makeup all last week and I felt so pretty. And I love your lipstick. The Landback lipstick is my favorite shade.
Uh-huh.
So thank you so much for your story. And yeah, I just really appreciate your time and you coming on here with us.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.